I saw myself doing activities that were not conducive to my bigger plan, that were more operational, that were more working in the business, not on the business. Whenever you're not working on growth, strategy, scale, you're invariably working in operations, right? Taking care of customers or handling fires or, just going in a million directions because you're the last man of responsibility.
Welcome to the How to Scale Commercial Real Estate Show. Whether you are an active or passive investor, we'll teach you how to scale your real estate investing business into something big.
Carlos Salguero, in 12 months, went from being a novice investor to now owning over 1,000 multifamily doors. That's incredible growth in a very short period of time. Carlos, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate you having me here. I'm excited.
Absolutely. The pleasure is mine. Carlos, there are 3 questions I ask every guest who comes on the show in 90 seconds or less. Can you tell me, where did you start? Where are you now? And how did you get there?
Oh, man, it's a short time, but I started in South America. I was born in Ecuador, in Quito, Ecuador. Came to this country at 17 years old without money, no friends, no family. First ever in my family. Wow. Went to college, graduated, went to work for corporate America for 5 years. I just was not meant to be an employee. So I started my own business. I started an e-commerce business that over the years grew to a multi-million-dollar company. Then I started a logistics company. Same thing with that. Grew it to a multi-million-dollar business, still own it today. And that led me to real estate. I bought my first commercial building because I needed a warehouse for my logistics business. And that is how I started in the real estate arena. And then I became a hobby real estate investor for better part of 15 years, where I bought single family homes, duplexes, triplexes, Airbnbs. And I just kind of saw the limitations of scaling small property. So that led me to big multifamily, which is what we do now. And like you said, over the last 12 months, we've scaled from 7 units that I had about a year and a half ago to now over 1,000 units, and with an amazing, beautiful deal under contract right now that we're going to close in January.
That is incredible. Tell me, the questions I think anybody would have in that is how. That's the only question I'll ask. How?
For sure. I think for me, I always wanted to be successful. I knew that there was a vehicle that could take me there. I knew that I needed to get better. I needed to improve myself. I had parents that were business owners, entrepreneurs. They never learned to scale big. They became successful because of their perseverance, their commitment, their discipline, but they were never able to scale beyond themselves. They were solopreneurs. They had a small team, but if they were missing, the business couldn't run. So I always looked at that and said, man, I want to be a successful business owner, but I don't want to get stuck where my parents got stuck. So I learned how to scale businesses. And that was one of the big things that I focused on along the way, because every time I felt stuck, I was like, man, I'm doing what my parents did. I need to go back and correct this and learn how to scale, delegate, put great management in place so that I could go on to the next level and continue to grow.
Felt stuck. I think that's a very poignant way of putting that, because I think a lot of people feel that they hit a certain threshold and it's like they just can't seem to push beyond that. How did you define the right things to push on in order to kind of break through to the next level?
Yes, when I felt this way, I saw myself doing activities that were not conducive to my bigger plan, that were more operational, that were more working in the business, not on the business. Whenever you're not working on growth, strategy, scale, you're invariably working in operations, right? Taking care of customers or handling fires or, just going in a million directions because you're the last man of responsibility. Right. So whenever I felt like in that place, I just, kicked and screamed and did whatever I could to find myself out of there and find somebody that could replace me. And I think that's one of the things that entrepreneurs and business owners sometimes don't do well. You got to find yourself a replacement in certain things. And if you don't, you'll be
yeah.
stuck there.
How did you justify, not justify, that's the wrong word, but how did you select? Because it seems like anytime there is building a team, anytime you're growing, there's always that question of, if we bring this person on, how do we then turn them into an asset and not just a liability inside of the company? So at what point in time did you figure out, what seats to put on the bus and at what time?
Yeah, that's a great question. In the beginning, it was reactive, not proactive. Like I think most of entrepreneurs, it was like, man, I'm doing way too much myself. I am my own bottleneck of growth. I just don't have enough hours in the day. And, we as entrepreneurs, we're like 24/7, 365, right? Until our energy, it just completely depletes and our mental capacity. So I found myself in these situations many times over my journey. And eventually I started discerning. I said, you know what? I picked up a few books about business scale. I picked up a few books about, not being just a solopreneur, but scaling big. And in the beginning, it was like reactive. I was like, oh, you know what? I need an accountant. Right. I need a sales guy. I need a manager, because I was doing it all myself. And I saw kind of the pieces just falling and me picking them up, right? But eventually, when I learned how to scale properly, I was able to look ahead and say, you know what, at this rate of growth, at the trend that we're going, we're going to need an operations manager. We're going to need a regional manager. We're going to need a logistics guy, a sales guy, an accounting team, right? And then it became more proactive, so that when the growth hit that point, I already was prepared, right? I had to make investments. And that's, I think, one of the struggles in every entrepreneur journey is we sometimes don't make the investment for growth to happen.
Right.
And then we stop that, right? We create friction in growth and momentum.
Right. Yeah. And there's no way, I don't think, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think so, but I'm wrong a lot. So possibly, but I don't think there's any way to really scale and grow without building team. That's what I'm hearing you say.
100%. There's no way. If you're going to build something large, and when I say large, beyond just a couple $1 million of revenue a year, you have to build a team, and you have to build a highly qualified team. In this era of virtual assistants and people overseas and all that stuff, that's good, because it helps you take some stuff off the plate. But you're going to need people just as smart as you, if not smarter than you, to do certain things, because your superpower is very well defined, and you should know what your superpower is, right? For me, my superpower was strategy, was growth, was vision for the business. I didn't want to be an accountant. I didn't want to be my own CPA, right? I didn't want to be my own sales guy or my only sales guy, which is what most entrepreneurs are. They are their own sales guy. And I didn't want to be my own operations manager, because even though I can proficiently do those things, they are not my superpower, my core strengths. So I better find somebody really good at this, that loves that, and put that person and pay them well so that they can help me grow and do what I can do best.
Talk to me about the deal that you guys are working, if you can. I don't know if that's...
Yeah, I can.
We can talk about specifics on that or not here on the show. Sometimes there's some people that can't necessarily share, pertinent details. Either it's not live or it's a 506B and they can't talk about it on air. So good to hear we can. You're working on a $40 million deal, I think, which is, we talked about this off air. You said, kind of pinch myself. I can't believe that it's actually me doing this. Tell me about that.
So the deal's in your backyard, Sam, right there in Lakeland, Tennessee.
Sure is.
Beautiful property, great town that is growing right now. It's a beautiful mixed use community built in 2021, already at 90% plus occupied. It has 8 commercial suites in the first floor, Mexican restaurants, sports bar and grill, a gym, a nail salon, a bakery, and an insurance company already tenants at the property. So beautiful, beautiful asset. We have 1 vacancy for commercial space. And what that does is just gives this 138 residential units on top of the commercial, a community feel. So, if somebody needs a coffee, just walk downstairs and they have their own Starbucks down in the courtyard. So it's super exciting, close to everything, 25 minutes away from the $5.6 billion investment that Ford is making in the area for the EV vehicle plant. They're going to make the F-150 Lightning there. Super excited. I'm sure you're excited about your property values close to that, if you have any.
Right.
And of course, this community of Lakeland is one of very affluent community. It's $187,000 household income, 1 mile radius of the property. So, very high income area. Price point for entry is $550,000 for a home in that community. We're buying the units for $245,000 a unit. So, great gap there. And we feel that rents are, pretty under market still for what's going to happen in the next couple of years, and the 6,000 jobs that Ford's going to have in the area, plus all the extra stuff that happens, right? I've talked to other people that have been in communities where a big automotive company came and built a multi-billion-dollar plant, and they say, man, that it just gets transformed, right? I have a buddy in Chattanooga, Tennessee, who is one of my students, and he saw the Volkswagen plant being built there 7 years ago. He said, Carlos, everything doubled here, right? Home values doubled, retail popped up like crazy, and that plant is not even half the size of what Ford is building in the Memphis area.
Right. Yeah, that's going to be a big boon, I think, for the area. That's for certain. It's fascinating both to watch it from the air. I'm a private pilot, and I've flown over those developments, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is massive. And then you see the I don't know anything about electricity, but there's the giant power lines and the utility runs that they're clearing through the countryside. It's like, okay, this is actually going to be humongous.
Oh my God. 3,800 acres, Sam. 3,800 acres. It's even hard to fathom.
It really is. It really is. Until you get in the air and you look down, you see all the earth movers and the earthwork, you're like going, this is, holy smokes, this is the biggest thing to happen to West Tennessee in probably ever. So a very, very cool project. How did you locate, underwrite, and decide to buy this asset in Lakeland? It's kind of, unless you're from the area, somewhat obscure. Yes. So tell me about that process.
So we love Tennessee, Sam. We made an investment in Tennessee earlier this year. We bought a mixed-use community in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Beautiful property right in front of St. Thomas Rutherford Hospital. Very similar to this one, a little bit smaller. That one has 84 luxury apartment units and 37,000 square feet of commercial space. And, when we closed on that deal, the rents went up $400 right off the jump, right? They had under market rents. We started leasing some vacant space that the previous owner had just not really pushed too much. And we, in 7 months, increased the value of that asset by $9 million. That's how quickly the growth was for that property. So, we thought, man, we found a unicorn. Is there any more like this? So we've been scouring Tennessee left and right for the last 6 months. And I have a team that all they do is underwrite deals, find deals, locate deals, visit properties. We went through probably a couple hundred deals. We underwrote it. And when we found this, it was through a broker that we had communications before. I called this broker, and that's why I always recommend, guys, keep those relationships alive. I called this broker about 9 months ago for a property in Arkansas that I was interested in buying. A 50-unit deal in Arkansas, close to a hospital. It didn't work out, but I stayed on his email list. I stayed in contact, and then my team also stayed in contact, and they just sent us this deal. It was almost like, hey, check this out. Maybe you're interested. And we started underwriting it. We had a team there. The day after, I have partners that live in Tennessee. They drove from Nashville to Lakeland, 3 hour away drive. And then they landed there. It's like, Carlos, this looks like our other deal. Also mixed use, same thing. And when we started digging deeper, we just started finding, great things about it. The Ford activity in the area, the growth of Lakeland, Lakeland just built a brand new high school and middle school, literally 3 minutes away from the property, right? Top 1% school district in the country in Lakeland. I don't know if you knew that, but we've dug up so much intel now that every time we find something cool, we're like, man, this is a good move. And then we underwrote the deal, conservative, like we always do. Our strategy is to cash flow right away after we buy our properties. And we saw, man, this is an amazing cash flowing deal. And here's the thing: in this time of high interest rates, one of the best things about this deal is we're assuming a 10-year interest-only loan that is only 4.35%.
That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I love that strategy. I mean, if you're having boots on the ground, I think it's imperative.
Yes.
But also having the ability to underwrite a deal of that size. What's it been like for you? I'm going back to the beginning of your story here, where you said, hey, it's from Ecuador, 17, had no money. And now doing deals like this, but then also talking about the capital raising side of things. I mean, that's a whole new skill set to develop especially when you're taking down a $40 million deal. So can you talk about both of those points, please?
Yes, I always recommend always be building your network, always be meeting people, right? Sam, I've had several businesses. So in the beginning, I didn't understand this. I saw my dad do it a little bit. He traveled to Germany and in the US for conferences and things like that. And I knew he was talking to other folks, but he never sat me down and said, hey, son, you got to learn how to network, right? You got to learn how to connect with successful people. I wish he had, man. That would have been on my success book right away. But, as I grew my little business in e-commerce back when I started in the early 2000s, this feeling of getting stuck also came about, in loneliness of, man, I'm pretty successful. Now we're making some money. I'm the most successful guy I know. Right. And that didn't feel right. Right. So I started seeking other people that were successful in my industry. I started going to conferences. I paid for mentorships. I paid for masterminds. My first mastermind in e-commerce was $25,000. I went and met a group of people that were already making 7-8 figures online. That leveled me up big time. Then I paid for another big one, right? $100,000. I didn't even tell my wife I was making this investment because I was scared of what she would say. But you know what? That room led me to a much higher level and caliber of people. And there is where things started just taking it to the next level, because I started learning the mindset, right? And rubbing shoulders with these guys that had already done it. And Sam, it's a lot easier to copy success than to create it on your own, right? If we reinvent the wheel, it can take us decades. And that's why a lot of startups fail, because they're trying to reinvent everything. And they have to set up every single system, every single process, instead of just following a proven success path that you can imitate. But we need to fight our schooling on this, right? Because when we go to school, what do they tell us? Don't copy, right? don't collaborate. Be independent. Be individual. So in the business world, man, I rather go after people that have already done it. See if they want to share that success with me. See if they want to give me some tips. Pay for their time if I need to, because one thing they tell you could just take you in a whole different direction. And that's really where my business took off. So it was mentorship. It was me copying success, following blueprints that already existed. And, I've started businesses from scratch. When I found multifamily real estate, big multifamily real estate, one of the beautiful things I saw there is like, man, I'm buying an already existing cash flowing deal that I just need to take over, optimize, and run well. And I don't have to reinvent this thing. I don't have to build it from the ground up. It's already there. It's already making money, right?
That's brilliant. I love it. Carlos, I've really enjoyed hearing your story. And I'm probably not the right way to say this, but the immigrant story is always probably one of my favorite ones, because this is one of the few countries in the world where you can still do that, where you can come here with no money. And then, I don't know how old you are, but however much time has passed, you're now taking down $40 million real estate deals. You're running multiple companies. And I love anyone who has the passion and the willingness to go out and hustle. And clearly that has paid huge dividends for you. So thanks for sharing that story today.
Thank you, Sam. I love this country. Just as a side note, man, this country has given me everything that I ever wanted. It's the land of opportunity, man. The American dream is so alive and well in for people that decide to like grab the opportunity and run with it and take massive action. It's unlimited. It's truly unlimited.
Right. That's a great word, Carlos. Certainly appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. If our listeners want to get in touch with you and learn more about you, what is the best way to do that?
Thank you for having me, Sam. The best way to contact me is through Instagram, TikTok, or my website. The handles are I am Carlos 10x, and on the website is iamcarlos10x.com. Hopefully you can get in touch.
Absolutely. I will make sure we include all of those there in the show notes. Carlos, thank you again. Have a great rest of your day.